Hare Krishna. Welcome devotees to the Gita Daily session. Thanks for joining. So today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Let's take the blessings of the Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and Sudarshan. Lakshmi, Dayako, and Nidha, Panchatattva. We shall pray that with their blessings we shall understand this transcendental spiritual topics. Let's recite the prayers. Om Adnanatimirandasya Adnananjanashalakaya Chakrurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatire Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's dedicate the session to the divine grace. Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya for the National Society for Krishna Consciousness. By whose mercy, we are able to understand the transcendental topics of Bhagavad Gita and also able to apply them in practically in our day-to-day life. So that let's thank Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we'll recite the Sloka 7.4. भूमिरपो अनलो वायु खम्मदो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कारिधियां मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरस्तदाम्. Repetition. भूमिरपो अनलो वायु खम्मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहङ्कारिधियां मे भिन्ना प्रकृतिरस्तदाम्. Translation by Divine Prince Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these eight constitute my separated material energies. So let's word meaning. Bhumi, earth, apa, water, anala, fire, vayu, air, kham, ether, mana, mind, buddhi, intelligence, eva, certainly, cha, and hankara, false ego, iti, thus. Yam, all these, me, my, bhinna, separated, prakriti, energies, ashtata, eightfold. So we are in the seventh chapter. We have seen that from seventh chapter onwards, Lord actually gives the knowledge of highest process of transcendental knowledge, which is Bhakti Yoga. So we saw in the last session about the transcendental topics of the Lord. So we saw that how the rarity of a spiritual seeker, who actually understand the truth, right? Of thousands of people who actually endeavor for spirituality, only few achieve success. And those who have achieved, those who have Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kashid Yadadi Siddhaye Yadadam Siddhanam Kashin Me Vitatada. So all the Siddhas, among them, only few actually understand the Lord and the truth. So the transcendentalists who actually understand the Krishna in truth, who understands is as a person, not actually as impersonal understanding, who understands in person, who understands completely in truth, such a person is very, very rare. And we also saw that since we have started this journey, we also comes in the rare category of people or very fortunate people who are actually moving in that direction to understand the Lord and the truth, right? So this is what we discussed. So now Lord actually is giving about information about his different energies. So in this sloka 7.4 and in the next sloka 7.5, the Lord talks about his various energies. So this is what actually we will see in little more detail today. So let's go ahead with the topic. Actually, the Lord's energies are unlimited. So he is the supreme source of all, fountainhead of all incarnation, and that there is no limit to his energies. But however, his energies are broadly classified into three categories. Actually, it is two, but then there is one intermediate category. So let's see what are they. So the main category of the Lord energy is one is external energy, which is actually known as Bahiranga Shakti. Which is also the material nature, right? That is manifested, where we are part of material nature. So this is external energy, the material world, which consists of unlimited universes, right? And then this material external energy is Prakriti, is Bahiranga Shakti. The Maya or Durga Devi, she is the superintendent of the external energy. So she is actually the given responsibility to manage the material energy or external energy of the Lord. So it is predominated by Maya, which actually covers the Jiva's original consciousness, and which makes the Jiva feel that he is the body, not the soul. So this is the external energy of the Lord. So then actually the second one is the internal energy or the spiritual energy of the Lord. So the spiritual energy, which is actually the spiritual world, is actually conducted by the spiritual energy of the Lord. And this is governed by the Yogamaya potency of the Lord. So, so we have seen that earlier that the material nature is no is one third of the entire creation, one fourth of the entire creation, and the spiritual world is three fourth, three quarters. So the material energy is only very small. It is known as the Ekapada Vibhuti, which actually is small compared to the spiritual. So spiritual spiritual worlds are much bigger than the material world. So the material world itself is like unlimited. There is no end. Nobody can, even the scientists are not able to find the length and breadth of the material universes. So according to Vedic scriptures, there are unlimited material universes, right? So they are like emanating from the pores of Mahavishnu. So there is no count. Okay, so but however, the spiritual world is much more, four times the material world. So we can imagine how vast is the entire creation, right? So the spiritual nature, the spiritual worlds, we don't have much access. They are known as the Vaikuntha planets, which are unlimited. So the spiritual world is actually conducted by the internal potency of the Lord. And also when the Lord appears, it is mentioned, Sambhavami Atma Maya. He comes with this internal potency. So the spiritual nature is controlled by, is known as the Yoga Maya potency or the Antaranga Shakti. And external energy is known as the Bahiranga Shakti, which is the material nature. And then we have the something in between, which is known as the Tadastha Shakti. So actually the Jiva, the spirit soul, or no, the Jivas, which actually we are also the Jivas, they are known as the marginal potency of the Lord. Actually, this Jiva is a Chit Kana, like this is the spiritual, actually it is a spiritual, it's a spiritual part of the Lord. However, because when it comes in contact with the Maya, when it comes to the material world, it becomes conditioned, and then it becomes the Tadastha Shakti or the marginal potency. Is Tadastha means like marginal. What it means is that like tat is there. So it's like the shore. If it is the seashore, for example, the seashore is sometimes under the influence of the land and sometimes it's under the influence of the water, right? So similarly, the Jiva actually is the Tadasa Shakti, in the material world, and it comes under the influence of the material energy, and sometimes it is, actually it is spiritual energy. So when the Jiva is conditioned and is covered by Maya, it actually is under the influence of the material energy. It is dominated by Maya. So, but actually, nevertheless, it is not. It is superior to the material energy because it is spiritual energy of the Lord. So these are some technical information about the three kinds of energies of the Lord. But then generally, Shvetashvatara Upanishads 6.88 mentions Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate Swabhavihi Jnana Balakriyacha. So Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. So basically it means that the Lord's energies are multifarious. It's unlimited actually. Right? So these are just the broad classification of the energy of the Lord. Because nobody can measure the potency of the Lord. So then another feature of the Lord is that he is having this feature known as Satya Sankalpa. So it is not that the Lord has to create the material energy, material world. How a engineer creates a building. So for in the material world, if you want to create a huge building or a skyscraper, so many people have to work. Right? Then they have to create. So many equipments are required, and it takes a very long time. But the Lord actually is not bound like that by material world. So he whatever the Lord desires, it manifests. He doesn't have to create it physically. So whatever is sankalpa, whatever is sankalpa is or desire is, it actually is manifested automatically by his potencies. So this is why the Lord's potencies are. It is not. It is beyond our conception. It is achintya. It is beyond our sense perception, or it is beyond our mental faculty. To understand how the Lord works. But nevertheless, this is what Scripture tells. So in today's sloka, the Lord actually is talking about the material energy. He's saying that Bhumi Rapor Analo Vayu, right? So this is earth, water, fire, air, ether. So these are the five Panchabhutas, Panchamahabhutas. The entire material world is created by a combination of these five elements. And then there is a three more, which are a subtle element, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Right. So this we have seen earlier also when we discussed the nature of the soul. we have discussed the subtle body, right? So the jiva, which is the real soul or the atman, is covered by two layers. The prime first is covered by the subtle body, which actually consists of mind, intelligence, and ego. And then the subtle body is further covered by the gross body, which is consisting of the five elements like earth, water, fire, air, ether, Panchabhutas. So our body is made of the Panchabhutas. The entire material creation, all the material world is created by the Panchabhutas, Panchamahabhutas. So this Panchabhutas material nature, which is Prakriti, is generally known as Jada samsara, because it actually by itself it doesn't have no consciousness. But then the jiva, which actually is the chitkana, is a conscious element, which is spiritual in nature. It is having consciousness, and by consciousness, the jiva, actually the soul, the symptom of the soul is the consciousness, which actually is the mind, intelligence, ego. So this is how the jiva actually is created, is existing in the material world, and also how the material nature is existing. So it is mentioned, in Bhagavad Gita. Actually, there's a shloka. Really, let us look at the shloka. So it is actually in 15th chapter, shloka number 8. It mentions, Shariram yadava apnoti yacchavi utkrama Bhretvedani samyadi vayu gandhani vasya. So what it says is that how the soul transmigrates from one body to another, right? So when the jiva, when the body, when the body becomes useless, or when the period of time which is destined for the soul in this particular lifetime ends, the soul actually is transferred to another body, according to the consciousness of the jiva. So the sum total of all the consciousness or the impression the jiva is having, the desires, accordingly he has a particular consciousness at the moment of death. And according to this consciousness, his next body is decided. So the subtle body is the reservoir of all all the impressions, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this is subtle body. So it captures all the jiva's impressions or the desires, which he acquires in this lifetime and all the lifetimes. And based on, and this subtle body is the reservoir which actually carries the conceptions from one body to the next body. So it is mentioned in the shloka that it is just like the wind carries the aroma. So when there is a wind which is blowing over a garden, right, of full of fragrant flowers, the wind is carrying the smell or the fragrance to to the nose, to the another place, right? So similarly, the subtle body, which is actually the impressions, it is carried, along with the soul from one body to another body. So that is how the jiva actually continues his journey in the next body. It actually, when he takes birth, again, he becomes conscious, he regains the consciousness, even before taking birth. So if there is a small brief period between death and when he gets the next body, where actually the jiva is sleeping, just like, we when we go to a deep sleep, we forget everything, right? So similarly, the jiva actually is in a state of deep sleep, and when he gets the next body, he again acquires the consciousness. And based on the subtle body's impression, he again starts acting. He has various tendencies. So that is why we see the children, even at small age, they have various tendencies. Some children are inclined to certain things, some other children are inclined to some other things. So the subtle body is the cause for continuity, of the jiva's journey. So nevertheless, so we understand, so the gross body and the subtle body, right? The five gross elements and the three subtle elements. So this is the main topic of this particular shloka. Okay. Yeah, so the jiva's nature, right, is Sachidananda. We have seen that, no? So the jiva is Sachidananda. So when it is Sach Chitananda. So Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda is bliss. So the jiva is eternal, that we have seen in the previous shlokas, right? So, and then it is full of consciousness, or it's full of knowledge in its original uncovered situation. But when it is covered by Maya, it actually loses its knowledge, which actually primarily the tattva, Atma Tattva, it loses. It understanding that I am not the body, I am that infinite spiritual soul, and my original constitutional position is to serve the Lord, and I can become happy by serving the Lord. So this knowledge actually is lost when it is influenced by Maya. And also the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna. So this knowledge actually it loses when he is covered by Maya. The process of bhakti or the yoga, the different yoga process, is to gradually uncover the covering of the consciousness. So it is mentioned just like the impressions and the desires, right? All these things creates a covering on the soul, right? It is given like the example of the dust which covers the mirror. So our heart is like a mirror, and because of our various vasanas and various karmic reactions that we accumulate over so many lifetimes, the mirror, the clean mirror, is covered by so many, so many layers of dust. So because of this covering, the jiva is not able to realize himself. We call it self-realization. Essentially, the primary meaning of self-realization is to understand who are we, what is our original position. But because the mirror of the heart, the so the cheta, is covered by so many layers of dust of contamination, and because of this, the jiva is not able to see himself. So when he's able to see himself, he is also able to see the Supreme Lord, because that is he is part and parcel of the Lord. So how can we clean the heart? Is by actually the process of devotional service. So when the jiva takes up the path of devotional service and the chanting, primarily by the chanting of the holy name, gradually the dust is removed. So it is mentioned like Cheto Darpana Marjana. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दां बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नवनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually is given the Shikshashtaka, the 8 verses. And the first verse actually talks about this. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So basically, the Cheto Darpana, the mirror of the heart, actually can be cleaned. Darpana Marjanam means cleaning. Right? So Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhavaha Dhavagni Nirvapanam. So actually, and we are in the forest of material existence. The forest fire of material existence is scorching, and actually is troubling the jiva. Jiva is actually always suffering in the material world. So this can be removed, by actually the taking up the devotional service. श्रेयकैरचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दां बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नवनं परं विजयते Sri Krishna Sankirtana. So this Sri Krishna Sankirtana can actually relieve the jiva from his suffering and the material existence. So this is the process which is actually given by the acharyas, and also in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic scriptures echoes the same topic. So in the last sloka of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also mentioned Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Bhava Pramacharya. Basically, this Nama Sankirtana can relieve the jiva from all the karmic reaction. Okay, so with that, actually, the main topic we conclude. So we will see how the Lord actually, briefly see how the Lord actually creates the material cosmic manifestation. So sometime back we have discussed, how the Lord actually expands into his various forms, and we have seen that there are three Vishnus, there are three Purushas, the Purusha and Avataras, which is the Mahavishnu, the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So the Lord actually, who is a transcendental, is always situated in his eternal abode of Goloka Vrindavan. He directly doesn't involve in the material creation. No, he takes this expansion, his Purusha forms, for the sustenance of the material world. So the first expansion, basically there are various expansions. We have seen that the Baldev, the first Chaturvyuha, then the second Narayana, then second Chaturvyuha, and after the second Chaturvyuha, from the Mahasangarshana, Mahavishnu actually comes, his expansion comes. This Mahavishnu is also known as the Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So this Mahavishnu is lying in the causal ocean. And from his body, when he breathes out, the unlimited universes come from every pore of his body. And in every universe, the Lord expands himself as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So every universe, is Brahmanda. It's known as a Brahmanda, like a shape of the egg, right? And in this Brahmanda, half of the Brahmanda is filled with water, which is the perspiration of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is lying in this ocean. And from his navel, actually, the lotus flower comes. And on the lotus, the lotus actually is known as the Brahmalok. And on the lotus, the Lord Brahmaji actually appears. This is self-manifested, Swayambhu Brahma. So this Brahma, actually, he's the first created in every universe. There is a Brahmaji, right? And in our universe, there is a Brahma with the four heads. It's known as the Chaturmukha Brahman. And this Brahma, when he actually wakes up into his consciousness, he doesn't know what to do. He actually is supposed to create the rest of the. He is a secondary creator of the universe. So he's the engineer of the universe. He's supposed to create all the planetary system. So it is mentioned along the stem of the lotus, the 14 planetary systems are there, right? Which actually consist of the middle, upper, and lower planetary system. The Earth is actually the middle planetary system. And then there are higher planets like Swargaloka, Janaloga, Maharloka, Tapaloga, Satyaloga, like that, the higher planets. And then the lower planets are there, like Atala, Vidala, Sutala, Rasatala, Patala, like that, the lower planetary system. So there are 14 planetary system. So the Lord Brahma actually creates all the he creates a secondary universe by the Lords. So when the Brahma doesn't know how to create, the Lord actually reveals the knowledge, the Vedic knowledge, the spiritual knowledge in his heart. It is mentioned, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. The Lord actually revealed it actually the spiritual knowledge is revealed in the heart of the Brahmaji. When you actually meditate. So first he hears the word tapa. Basically, he tapa means meditate. So the Lord gives the information that he should meditate. And the Lord Brahma performed meditation for many thousands of years. And then the spiritual knowledge is revealed in his heart. And then the Lord Brahma creates. He creates the Prajapatis, who are the procreators. And then the Prajapatis create the population, and then various elements, etc., manifest. So, and the third Vishnu is the Shirodashaya Vishnu, who actually is the Paramatma, who Paramatma, which resides in every Jiva. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridayasharthana Tishtati. So every Jiva, the Paramatma is residing as as a companion of the Jiva. So this way the three Vishnus are primarily maintaining, creating, maintaining, and executing the functions of the material world. And when the Mahavishnu breathes inside, then he exhales, all the universes manifest, and then they exits. And when he inhales, all the universes goes back to the body of Mahavishnu. So the cosmic manifestation is it's a cyclic process, and the existence of one cycle is just one breath of Mahavishnu. So the Brahma's life also is one breath of Mahavishnu, but then that period is very long. It is mentioned that it is 311 trillion, 40 billion. So that much actually is the lifespan of Brahmaji. But actually for Mahavishnu it is very small. It's just one inhalation, exhalation. So this way, the Lord's creation is very beyond our perception, and it is very wonderful, and very fantastic. But actually, we can only just try to fathom the magnitude of the Lord's spiritual potencies. Okay, so with that, I think we come to the end of today's time. So yeah, so just to summarize what we looked at, today's Sloka we saw the material energy of the Lord, which consists of primarily the 8 elements, the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, ego. Right. So we understood the potency of the Lord. But these are just the 8 primary. But then there are unlimited potencies of the Lord. We saw the primary 3 categories like external, internal, and marginal. So yeah, so with this, actually, what we can just try to understand or take away is that the Lord's energies are unlimited. With our very limited intelligence, especially in the covered state of our material existence, it's very difficult to understand that spiritual energy. So that is why we need to depend on the scriptures and spiritual master who are already self-realized. So we can actually continue the process of executing devotional service mainly primarily by chanting the holy names, which actually cleanses the heart, which removes the dust of material contamination, and then slowly we can see ourselves, start understanding who are we.